This is the homework helper for Chapter 1, Section 10 in the 7th grade workbook entitled Solving Equations by Adding or Subtracting. Okay, so we're starting solving equations here. Remember the rules you heard in the instruction today, because that's going to be where we're going to start on every single question. Remember, the rules that you saw today said when we solve equations, we want to have variables on the left. And when I say variables on the left, I mean variables on the left side of the equal sign. That's always what I'm going to mean when I'm talking about positions there. So left, right is always in relation to the equal sign. So if we don't have it on the left side of the equal sign right away, that's where I'm going to start. Sometimes, if it's not on the left side of the equal sign right away, we can go ahead and flip the equation around, meaning totally invert the left and the right side. And if that causes the variable to then show up on the left side, then all the better. Numbers, well, my numbers, my plain Jane numbers, my constants, those guys without a date to the prom really, they're all going to get shifted over to the right side of the equal sign. One of them, in these cases, this type of problem is always going to be there to start, so it's a matter of moving the other one over there. Whenever we want to move something to the opposite side and we're not flipping, we're going to use opposite side, do the opposite, which implies when I want to move something to the opposite side of the equal sign, I do the opposite. As in, if it's got subtraction in front of it, I'm going to add. If it's got subtraction, if it's got addition in front of it, I'm going to subtract. If it's got multiplication in front of it, I'm going to divide, and so on. And remember, when we move something, we do the same thing to both sides, just like balancing a double beam balance type scale. So a question like 2 is actually where I'm going to start, and then I'm going to go back and take a look at some of the other ones. Number 2 is exactly how an equation is supposed to look. Why? Well, the variable r is on the left side of the equal sign. Variables do belong on the left side of the equal sign as prescribed. Numbers should all end up being kicked over to the right side of the equal sign. As you can see, 77 is already over there. So the one troublemaker right now is 32. 32 is going to have to move over to that right side, as in the right side of the equal sign, because he's a number. Well, because 32 has a subtraction sign in front of it, to move that over there, I'm going to have to add 32 to both sides. Again, whenever I want to move something to the opposite side, I do the opposite. So to get rid of subtracting 32 there, I'm going to add 32. And again, I'm going to have to do it to both sides because I'm trying to balance a scale. I'm going to balance out that double beam balance scale by adding the same amount to both sides of the equation here, which is called balancing an equation. All right, that minus 32 plus 32, those cancel each other out and just leave me my variable r, which is exactly what I want because that's what I'm supposed to find. And then I'm going to add up my 77 and my 32, and that's going to be my answer. When I add those two up, that's 109. So r must be 109. And indeed, we can check that. 109 minus 32 is 77. When you're checking this, as long as what you figure out on the left side works out to be the same as what's on the right side, you know you've done this correctly. And that little bit of work there by me showing adding 32 underneath the left and the right side there, that's all that's involved in showing your work. Now, if we go and look at 1 and 3 there, 1 and 3 are both written wrong. How do I know that? Well, the variable in both of those is on the right side of the equal sign, but the variable is supposed to be on the left side of the equal sign. So a good place to start in 1 and 3 is I'm going to go ahead and invert the left and the right side so the variable ends up on the left. So that means number 1 is going to get rewritten as y minus 44 equals 33. And number 3 is going to get rewritten as x minus 29 equals 125. All right, so let's do some solving here. In number 1, again, we're going to start off and we're going to say variables on the left. Well, the variable y is on the left side of the equal sign, so that's good. And numbers to the right, well, the number 33 is on the right side of the equal sign, so that's also good. 44 is a number, however, and since it's a number, it also belongs on the right side of the equal sign with 33. Well, again, whenever I want to move something to the opposite side there, I'm going to do the opposite. So that implies that I'm going to have to add 44 to both sides here. So I'm going to go ahead and add 44 to both sides. And over here, this minus 44 plus 44 cancels each other out. Now, if you're having a hard time thinking about that, picture it with some simple numbers. Let's say I took the number 3, and then I said subtract 2, and you'd say 1. And then I said add 2, and you would say back to me, well, wait, we're back to 3. Exactly. That's what's happening here, except we're working on that with a variable. If I take 44 away from it, and then I add 44 back, they wash each other out. Just like if I said take 3, subtract 2, and then add 2, you came right back to where you started at 3. That's what's happening. That's how we're solving for the variable. On the right side, you've got 33 plus 44. That's going to go together to make 77. Y must equal 77. And again, we can check that. 77 minus 44 is 33 over here on this right side. Since this other side says 33, the whole thing checks. All right, number 3, x minus 29 equals 125. So we're going to have to go ahead and move 29 out of the way here. Why? Because that's a number. Remember, numbers belong on the right side of the equal sign. What's good about this question? Well, the variable x is on the left side of the equal sign. Variables belong on the left side of the equal sign. And the number 125, well, those numbers do belong on the right side of the equal sign, so he's in the right place as well. So the one thing we're going to have to look at moving here is moving the 29. Well, again, when I want to move something, I'm going to do the opposite. And since 29 has a subtraction sign in front of it, the opposite is going to be to add. So I'm going to add 29 to both sides here. Again, this minus 29 plus 29 cancels each other out and just leaves me x over there, which is good because that's what I'm solving for. And then here I've got 125 plus 29. That's going to make 154. And again, we can check that. 154 minus 29 is 125. Since the other side says 125 as well, that means we've solved this correctly. All right, let's go ahead and go down to the row with 7, 8, and 9 there. Now, taking a look at those 3 questions there, tell me which one is wrong, or at least not written the proper way. If you just told me that it's number 9, you're right. Number 9 is not written the right way. Why? Well, if you told me that the variable is on the wrong side, you're correct again. The variable f is on the right side of the equal sign, but he's not supposed to be on the right side of the equal sign. He's supposed to be on the left side of the equal sign. So in number 9, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did in 1 and 3. We're going to invert the left and the right side there. And I'm going to make this say f minus 11 equals 987. Notice when I did that, the variable f is now on the left side of the equal sign, which is good. And the number 987 is now on the right side of the equal sign, which is good. All right, so let's go ahead and solve all of these now. Taking a look at number 7, variable a is on the left side of the equal sign. That's good. And the number 57 is on the right side of the equal sign. That's good. So the only trouble we have here is 9. 9's got to get out of the way. And to move 9 out of the way, I have to move it to the right side. Well, again, whenever I move something to the other side, I have to do the opposite to make that happen. So that means I'm going to add 9 to both sides here. The minus 9 plus 9 washes each other out and leaves me a. And then I've got 57 plus 9. That's going to go together to make 66. And that must be my solution. 66 minus 9 does make 57. Since the other side says 57, the whole thing checks. All right, number 8, b minus 49 equals 254. So again, we've got two things that are in the correct location. B is in the correct location, variable b, and the number 254 is also in the correct location. Again, variables need to stay on the left side of the equal sign. Numbers are going to go to the right side of the equal sign. So the troublemaker we have here is 49. 49 is going to have to move here. So how am I going to move 49? Well, since it's a number, it's got to go to the right side. Anytime I want to move something to the right side, or the other side in this case, I have to do the opposite. Well, look at 49. He's got a subtraction sign in front of him. So I'm going to go ahead and add 49 to both sides here. On this left side, the minus 49 plus 49 cancels each other out. That just leaves me b, which is good because that's what I'm trying to find. 254 plus 49, that's going to change into 303. And that's going to be my solution. We can check it. We can do 303 minus 49 over here is 254. Since the other side says 254, the equations are balanced. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 9 now. In number 9, we've straightened this one out already, so we're ready to solve. Variable f is on the left side, that's good. And number 987 is on the right side of the equal sign, that's good. So the one troublemaker we have here is the 11. The 11 is going to have to look at being moved here. Well, again, when I want to move something to the opposite side, in this case to the right, I'm going to do the opposite, which is to add. So add 11 to both sides, and that's going to make this minus 11 plus 11 cancel each other out and leave me f. And then I've got 987 plus 11 here. 987 plus 11, that's going to give me, in this case, 998. And we can check this. 998 minus 11 is 987. Since the other side says 987, the equation checks. Now, I'm not going to touch on all of the next row with you, but I do want to point out number 10, because number 10 is something we have not seen yet in this homework presentation. You're looking at number 12 in that row and saying 12 is wrong. That's correct. 12 is wrong. You want to flip the sides just like we did in 9. That will get you started on 12. But in number 10, notice what's different is the variable is on the left side of the equal sign, but for the first time, the variable is not the very first thing we see. The variable is actually the second thing we see, but it is on the left side of the equal sign. 1400 is a number that is on the right side of the equal sign. That's okay too. 32 is going to have to move here. Now we want to make sure that we recognize where that addition sign is now on this question, because it could potentially mess us up. It won't in this particular question, but it could on down the line here. In solving this question, I have to move 32. But if I look at this, the addition is attached to the D right now. So I don't want to say I'm going to subtract because there's addition in the middle. That's not actually correct. It's going to be what I'm going to end up doing here, but it's not correct for that reason. 32 here is got to stand by itself. All right. If I look at this again, that's attached to the D. I don't want to do that. All right. I want to study 32 here. What type of number is 32? 32 is a positive number. Well, again, I want to be thinking about opposites because that's how I'm going to move something to the opposite side here. So the opposite of a positive being a negative, and then I want you to think, what do negatives look like? Well, negatives looks like subtraction signs, and that's why I'm going to end up subtracting 32 here on both sides to solve. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with 1368 for D. If you have a hard time with a question where it's flipped around like that, what I want you to think about is, how do I make this go to 0? Notice in every single question we've solved, when I've moved that number over, on the left side, that number part has always gone to 0. Here we had minus 9 plus 9. Here we had minus 49 plus 49. Here we had minus 11 plus 11. Here I have 32 minus 32. In every single one of those questions, it's always gone to 0. If it's not going to 0, you're not doing the right thing. Reconsider what you're doing. D is 1368 in number 10.